G'day, welcome back to Minecraft SMP with Sparcy. I'm back in the Nether, where we left off last time, although I have been busy all over this world doing various things. I thought we'd come back to where we finished last episode to see the changes that I've made over time. So obviously the very first one you can notice right here is, well, I have replaced all the paths here with basalt. Basalt seems to make a really good path block. Just take a look at that. That is awesome for a path. Over here, behind me, if I can manage to do it right, is my new little friend, Red. I found him once out exploring for bastions, and I managed to bring him home. So, hopefully we'll actually go and take him out exploring one day to look for more bastions. For the moment, that will have to wait until 16.2 comes out. Okay, so the little basic cosmetic differences aren't the only things that have changed in this base. Over here, I have built a piglin bartering system. This is basically the one designed by Logical Geek Boy. It's a pretty good system for a few very simple reasons. It actually has ample storage for basically all the things that you expect to get from your trading. 3 chests is actually quite a lot when you consider what you get. You get quite a few potions, leather, gravel, or heaps of really useful stuff. I understand in 16.2 some of this is going to be changed and nerfed, but having already gotten 3 chests full, that's probably not so much of a big problem for me. It's everything that I'll desire for now. What's also good about this farm is when it fills up, it automatically turns itself off. Just gotta kill off that guy, he doesn't like me. Inside here, there is... let's just find it. Okay, there is a comparator that looks at the hopper just underneath the piglet, and it tells us if there are enough items in it. And if there are enough items in it, it deactivates this piston, which pulls that block out of the way. Now that block takes a signal from this torch to activate that dropper up there. And that torch is deactivated by a, let's just get up there, by a pressure plate. So when the dropper activates, the gold drops out and lands there. Activates the pressure plate and turns off the torch. This is sort of a traditional timer design where you would normally lose the item. In this case, the piglin can actually take the gold ingot, and then the dropper will drop out a new ingot pretty much straight away. Unless, of course, the hopper down there has got enough items in it and pulls this piston back, removing the block and breaking the cycle. So yeah, that's a pretty good design. Originally made by Logical Geek Boy. You should go and check out his channel to find out more details if you think that would be useful for you. Also in the nether area here, if we go just out here, I set myself up a small area for farming crimson trees. Okay, so I brought a bit of red nylium back from my exploration, plonked it down here, and had to build a little wall around the area because ghasts kept trying to blow me up. I built this little bone meal maker because the nether wart blocks can actually be converted into bone meal, along with a lot of these other little bits and pieces. So you almost get the bone meal back it takes to get the crimson stems, which is quite useful. In addition to setting up this crimson nylium, I've also got a warped one out the other side of the nether base. So what we'll do now is we'll travel back to the overworld and I'll show you the things that I've changed there whilst in the intervening time period. Okay, we're back in the overworld and we're approaching my wizard's tower. You can see that I've had a chance to finish the roof. And I'll be honest, I think it's actually come out fairly good. Oh, okay, a bit of rubber banding there. Yeah, I'm actually quite pleased with that, although probably could have been done with a bit more wood on this side. because it's not really as round as I'd like. Now let's go take a look at it from the inside. Not much on the inside has changed. I did find that I couldn't implement an attic in the amount of space that was left up there. You'll see what I mean when we get up there. Yeah, around the edges, you basically had no room to stand. So that basically you would have been able to stand, say, about here, maybe? But nowhere near the edges. And that would make the space very, very cramped, but also made it very difficult to actually make any access to the area up there. So what I decided I would do is I'd rip out the floor that was up there and just have a nice view up into the roof cavity like this. I think it's a lot better for it. I've also hung all the lanterns by chains in the building now, all the way up and down. Other than that, not much has changed. I think it works pretty well as a building now. I consider this one pretty much complete. Let's move on to the castle where I've been doing most of my work and where we'll be working today. Okay, we're approaching the castle. The main thing that I've done here is I've built houses for my villagers in the main part here, and I've also moved my trader villagers into the dungeon downstairs. You may notice the houses are fairly simple, and they are very much like the houses that would generate in normal villages. That's deliberate on my part. I wanted the houses to feel like they fit into the Minecraft world. And also, sometimes I feel like the more detailed, nicer builds, like, don't get me wrong, they're very nice builds. I think that they sort of get the scale wrong compared to the actual characters in Minecraft. They look really good, but when you think about it, they've got like 3 or 4 meter thick walls, and that sort of doesn't really fit with the scale. So I try to make detail where I can on the small scale, but also keep things simple where it's easier to do so. So today we're going to build another house. I've got to build a house for Fletcher, and I've got to do some pathing around here. So we will be back in this area shortly. I'm just going to show you what I did with the trading area downstairs and how I've got that set up. So I moved all of my villagers over by the minecart rail that I built over here. I've since taken the railway up because I'm planning on using the rails somewhere else shortly. But I've basically put all of the villagers into their little cubicles in here. It's a fairly simple way of putting them in there. You basically put their trading block there, a trapdoor, and a lamp and a switch. That basically just lets you know which ones are open and closed easier. And it keeps the villagers safe and able to trade. This is a pretty easy way of setting up a trading centre. The only downside is it's not easy to switch villagers in and out of it. But unlike the old trading halls from pre-village and pillage days, you don't really need to do that so much nowadays, because you want to keep your villagers, because they generally have good trades and they never lock up permanently anymore. So, let's get down to some actual building and doing things. What I've got to do today is I need to build paths and roads in this village, and I need to build another villager house. So the one that we're going to build is the one for the Fletcher, and I'm thinking sort of in that area there. And let's go and get some materials. Okay, we're going to get started on building the Fletcher's house. I like to build a frame first, to sort of give myself an idea of what sort of shape the house is going to be. And speaking of house shape, I tend to try to avoid having just a simple box shape. You can sort of achieve that by, I don't know, what I would call it. I mean, basically all I've done here is attach one box onto the side of another one. But basically just making non-symmetrical, ununiform shaped houses. I think it makes them look a bit more interesting, even if they are very simplistic. Now let's go and find ourselves a spot to build the Fletcher's house. I think with the bell there, over here is probably going to be a reasonable spot. I want to put the archery range over there, and I don't want to build the house on the slope too much, because that will make things awkward and difficult when it comes to flooring. So over here is probably a good spot. We'll just lay down a starting pillar here. And that could be our first wall. Just make sure it's wide enough. Okay. That should give us room for a small window there. And we'll put a thing there, because we'll have a little alcove here. Yeah. Haha, take that, Phantom. And here, and just make sure it lines up here. Okay. Well, they're very persistent today. Yeah, you're going to make it difficult for me to actually do any work. So I could actually try to kill these guys off. It might also help if I go sleep in a bed, because I don't think I've slept in a bed for quite a while. Excuse me? Really? You want to help? Okay, let's find another unoccupied bed. Or a bed I can kick a villager out of. You'll do. Don't mind me, just need a little sleep. That'll do. Go back to sleep. Okay. Alright, where was I? Okay, we're building the frame for this house. I think maybe I've gone too large. I sort of find that it's actually a good idea to try and make the houses smaller where you can. Because if you make them too large, it actually becomes really difficult to fill them with detail. I can sort of show you with some of these houses here. They're quite tight and small, quite deliberately, so that when I put detail in them, it doesn't feel like there's heaps of room left over. So this one is mostly for a librarian. It's got a lot of books. This is the downstairs section where you might greet people and sell books to other villagers. Upstairs is where he's supposed to live. Yeah, so you actually got up to the bed. I've had trouble getting that villager to come up to his bed. So he's got a little kitchen area, sink, cooking, crafting, somewhere to store his stuff, and somewhere to sleep. If this area was much bigger, there'd be a lot of empty space, and I'd struggle to find something to put in it. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't put something in it, but it means that I'm at the stage where I find trouble filling the space. Particularly for a small house meant for only a single villager. If it was a big hall, I could put a big dining room or a big throne room or something like that in here. And I've got plans for doing that over in that large building in that corner over there. So let's take a look over in some of these other ones as well. Now this one's the mason's house. Again, small area for cooking. Go upstairs. This is where he sleeps. Well, just some basic details just to make it look like a house, so that it's not a basic, poor, unhomely space. I don't want to add too much detail though, because I think sometimes that makes things look too busy. So I'll show you an example of a space that I don't think necessarily works as well. We come in here, and this is a place where villagers live. Now, there's not really anything wrong with this space in terms of it's not really too large, but there's sort of this big area in the middle that you can't really do anything without causing problems for the villagers pathing around or making the room look too busy. I can't really put a table here because the room's not big enough, but if I made it much bigger to put a table in it, the walls would be all bare and blank and difficult to decorate. I suppose in time I'll get better at doing that and I will be able to have bigger rooms. Up here, these guys sleep. Same sort of problem. I've got them all around the edges, but not really anything I can put in the middle without obstructing the walkways and where the villagers need to go. Oh, hello there. Typically, he gets trapped behind the fence. Yeah, good luck with that. Okay, one of these houses, though, I'm really actually quite happy with, and that's because I added a lot of detail into it, because I had a little story in mind when I made it. This house here is the cartographer's house. Now, when I made the cartographer's house, I imagined him as an adventurer who used to go out on adventures, much like you do. And so when you go into his house, you find he has a big map of the area. He has his old armour that he used to wear, which is made of gold for some reason. Here he is. And a little table to tell stories and a place to cook food and do the basics of life here. You go upstairs. He's got himself some nice bookcases and paintings and the sorts of things you find in the other villagers' houses. Storage for things and lights. So yeah, I actually think this house has come out all right. It's nothing as good as something that someone like B00 may do, but for me this is pretty dang good. Eventually I'll probably get better at doing it, and one day I'll probably come back and say this is horrible, but until then, I'm really quite proud of this little shack as it is. Right, let's get back to building the Fletcher's house. Got myself a little bit sidetracked there. I'm not sure whether I'll go for 2 stories or not. With this sort of size and shape, I could go really either way. Because I could either have a bed in this space or stairs leading up to the 2nd floor where there would be space for a bed. Maybe what I'll do is I'll have a 2nd floor, but unlike those ones, this guy will have a balcony. I think that would be a nice addition to one of the villager houses. So we'll build the walls out of oak. Now this space here will have a 1 wide window in it. I've got to figure out where I'm going to put the door. Considering where the villager bell is, I think the best place for the door will be here. And then I can put the stairs here as long as I've got enough room. Then this space over here can be a kitchen and maybe somewhere to sit here. If I can fit it in. I think I'll fill that wall in so I can have a poster behind it and have the kitchen equipment against that wall. I need to have the stairs against that section there, so actually I know what I'll do there. I'll do what I did on some of these other buildings and add detail where I might otherwise add a window by putting stairs there. So I'll go and get the steps to put in there. I've left them over here in my chest of goodies. Let's see how that looks. I don't know about that one. If I'm going to have the stairs behind it though, yeah, I might have to rethink putting the stairs there. Maybe what I can do is have them spiral around, say, like start here and go up there, like that. That might be a better option than putting them here. So we might actually pencil them in just to see what they look like. Okay, that's probably not going to be too bad if I just... No, that's the wrong wood. Just put a block there. Yeah, that's not going to be too intrusive on the kitchen space. Okay. I need a crafting table in here for the kitchen anyway, so we'll put one over here. I always try to make sure the stairs look at least a little bit smooth. Okay. Well, you know what, I can actually still have that window there with those stairs there. That shouldn't be a problem. Might be a bit funny for the person, you know, seeing someone climbing the stairs up there like that all the time, but I think that works. And that gives us a window here, more room to put a little table in this corner here, and kitchen space in there. Okay, let's build the next floor up. And I really need to fill the floor in for this area too. Just always make sure you test your stairs, because sometimes you bump your head and you can't actually get up them. Okay, yeah, I think that works. Now, I think this area over here will be the sort of the, I don't know what I should call it, whether it's like a patio or porch or a balcony. But I think that's where I'll put the balcony. If that's the case, I'm going to need a pillar here to support everything. Oh, that's the wrong block. Make sure I put the right block in there. Okay. Just get the frame up for the next floor. We're going to continue these up because we'll have a roof over the balcony, because you don't want to be rained on. But there won't be any walls on top of that section there. And I'll put some fences in there or something like that. Now let's see if they breed. No? No, they're going to chuck carrots at each other. That's kind of amusing. Okay, I think what I might do is I might finish building the structure of the house, and we'll come back when I've got the outer shell of the house completed. Okay, we're back. Let's take a look at what we've constructed. I ended up putting the balcony out the front out here because I couldn't find a place on the upper floor here to put it. Without causing a problem for the layout of the stuff that would need to go up here. I've got to figure on putting a bed somewhere, some bookshelves and some storage, and maybe an armor stand or a poster or some other basic decorations to fill the space. And if I say cut it off here and made this area the balcony here, I'd have trouble fitting all of that in, and of course we'd have the stairwell here with the great big hole down the side. I did try putting the stairwell over here or other places, but it just caused the same issues. So what I ended up doing was moving it out here. And of course, it makes more sense being out here as well, because you got a village, you get a view of the village instead of, say, a wall, which out that way is what you would see. Which is kind of why I'm sort of umming and ahhing about whether I should have this window, because it's basically just looking at a wall, and I'm not sure that that's really all that good. So yeah, this is definitely a good spot for the balcony. Going downstairs, I added this sort of little nook off to the side here to sort of make this wall here not so flat by adding a little sort of thing sticking out where I could put a kitchen in. So what I'll end up doing is I'll put the villager's kitchen in this area here, maybe something to a table and chairs to eat here with friends, and stuff like its fletching table and armour stands over here. Maybe being a Fletcher, they'll have to have somewhere to store not only their armour stand, but maybe a weapon rack to have their bows on. Maybe that would be a good idea. Certainly should have a poster somewhere. Not sure where. This wall here is looking like a good spot. But probably also one of the walls up here as well, where I don't really want a window otherwise. So I'll probably knock one of these windows off and fill them in and put a poster over that area just to add some detail from the inside. So I'm still deciding what to build the roof out of. You may notice I've been using crimson and wartwood for a lot of the roofs in this town, and that's partly because I really like the colour for the roofs. That new wood is really nice. The crimson and the cyan, like that's definitely a cyan colour. Although I suppose it could be teal or something like that as well. Yeah, that colour and that colour. I quite like the colours. So I thought they made good roofs, and that's why I've put them there. They also have the added bonus of being fireproof. So if lightning happens to strike these houses on the roof, they won't burn down, which has always been a concern with houses with standard wood as the roofs. Which is why I don't tend to use standard wood as a roof on my house. I usually use something like cobblestone in the past. But cobblestone isn't necessarily a very nice roofing material, although it's good on some buildings. I'm just rambling, aren't I? Rambling and blah. Stop rambling. Okay, so I'm going to go and put a roof on this building instead of rambling at you about it, and then we'll be back. Okay guys, at this point in editing the video I realised that it's getting a little bit long, so I'm going to split this up into 2 parts and finish it here for today. Next time we'll finish the building of the Fletcher's house, and we'll do some of the lovely paths that you'll see in front of us just here. Okay, we'll catch you next time.